Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. And you know I've been covering what's been going on at Disney the last few months. There's been a lot of chaos going on, a lot of panic. They've changed out the CEO thanks to Bob Iger working with Christine McCarthy, probably behind the scenes, to get the board to throw Bob Chapek out because there are all kinds of problems at Disney. You could blame everyone at Disney for Disney's problems. You can't blame the fans, but you can definitely blame the CEOs, the board, Kevin Feige, even some of the actors. But mostly it's the management approving these terrible projects. They've been talking about quality problems with Phase 4. They've been talking about how some projects might be delayed for Phase 5 and 6. Well, the delays are now coming more fast and more furious. This was something that they did as a slow delay, kind of tricky thing, where they originally said Armor Wars was going to be redeveloped as a movie. They were going to be shaking it up. They're shaking up Armor Wars. Well, this project is probably never coming out. This was the first thing that I really saw them starting to kind of realize they need to change direction. This was before Bob Chapek was fired. This was before Bob Iger obviously came in. This article came out September 29 saying, oh, Marvel's shaking up Armor Wars. And then the way they're shaking it up is they claim they were going to be converting it into a movie. Well, we'll see about that. It's not on any kind of schedule. But that narrative of, oh, we're just going to shake it up, we're going to redevelop it as a movie, it makes it look like they didn't just have a serious and embarrassing cancellation, which they did. It's canceled because they spend way too much money on these shows. The latest one is this Agatha Marvel series delayed to 2025, Coven of Chaos. Well, I don't know if this was going to be a good series, but I know it was scheduled to happen. If they schedule to actually start filming a project and then they decide, oh no, we're going to pull back and not film that project, not because of a death, not because of an injury, but because strategy is not working over there at Disney. Now, Bob Iger is the one that said, let's focus on Disney Plus. Let's spend billions of dollars on Disney Plus. Bob Chapek took it to an extreme where they spent like an additional $8 billion in the last fiscal year just on Disney Plus content, more than they were originally planning to spend. Bob Chapek loved the idea of producing an unlimited amount of content for Disney Plus for an unlimited amount of money, because it was all financed by stockholders and fancy tricks like amortization, where they pay out the expense over a number of years. Well, it's fake profits. It's not real profits. And that's where they started to wind up in this tremendous cash bind, which is always what's going to happen if you're going to produce stuff that people don't really want. But through some accounting tricks, you can kind of get away with it for a while. So we'll get into this story about Agatha Coven of Chaos. Before we do, please be sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give it a thumbs up. You guys have been great. The channel's growing. Got more than 4,000 subscribers now. Really appreciate you guys. This is the latest story from Giant Freaking Robot, exclusive Agatha Marvel series delayed until 2025. So they were literally going to start filming. They had people all in place to do this. Production crew, locations, everything selected, everything picked it out. The scripts were finished. They're ready to go. But they decided, you know what, let's just put this off for another 2 years. Well, even to make cancellations like that costs money. You have to make an investment and lose money for the opportunity to delay something for 2 years when you're about to start filming it. Who even knows if all the actors are going to still be available by then? Are they really going to even do this series in 2 years? Let me know what you think in the comments below. You can probably tell I really have my doubts. Now look at how Giant Freaking Robot is very generous to them, the way they write this article. You'll notice as I start going into it. Many are starting to feel superhero fatigue, which also includes one of the bigger purveyors of the genre, Marvel. Is this supposed to be a superhero, by the way? You may know this series better than me and this character. This character, she's supposed to be a superhero. That's what a superhero does. Through our trusted, proven sources, says Giant Freaking Robot, and they do have proven resources. Their rumors are very good. They can show you, one after another, things they predicted, rumors they had. Their rumors and their sources do lay stuff out that comes true. So through their proven sources, they can report the Agatha Coven of Chaos Marvel series is now being delayed to 2025. I mean, they were supposed to start filming it in October. So yeah, you would think people are going to start talking and saying, hey, something is actually delayed here if they're not actually filming it. This is not at all shocking, as the MCU brass has been reportedly not happy with how Phase 4 has panned out, so the company is shifting to provide more quality over quantity for the Phase 5 and Phase 6 plans. And who's the brass? The brass is the board of directors. Obviously, it's not Bob Chapek. He ain't brass no more. And it's not Bob Iger either, right? Because Bob Iger, he just showed up. Did Bob Iger even really know how bad things were at Disney? Probably, but maybe it's his ego. Maybe it's his lack of really detailed information to really understand that things are disastrously bad at Disney. They're not just we have a couple of problems. Everybody has a couple of problems in their business, especially a gigantic business like Disney. They have problems that maybe the board doesn't even understand. The Agatha Marvel series is arguably one of the most anticipated titles that fans are genuinely excited about. I don't know why. Okay. However, not seeing this series for another few years is not the worst news. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has been steadily releasing shows and movies for a bit too long at this point. I don't even know what they mean by that. Should they have stopped making shows and movies 5 or 10 years ago? Maybe at least 2 or 3 years ago? That might have helped. And some have been rather lacking in terms of their overall stories. Black Panther Wakanda Forever aside, the MCU needs some definite reshuffling. Because the Black Panther, they should just do that too with Spider-Man. Just make Spider-Man movies without him in it. Make X-Men movies without any of the X-Men. This could be the new path for Marvel. Let me know if you think that's a good idea in the comments below. The Agatha Marvel series was meant to be part of the Phase 5 rollout and was aimed to be released in the fall of 2023 or in early 2024. However, now that the series is being pushed back by another year or so, it could mean that Marvel has grander plans for what's going to take place within the story of the series. Or it could mean that the board has been really sitting with the CFO and some outside accountants and started to realize, we're really producing way too much shows. These Marvel shows have nowhere near the value that they think they do in their library. They figure they can spend $25 million on an episode for She-Hulk because, of course, everyone's going to want to see all 9 episodes of She-Hulk over the next 10 years at the minimum. It's a Marvel show, but no, not actually. We would imagine those plans could involve the Scarlet Witch. It's been rumored that she's set to return to the MCU sooner than later. Agatha played a big part in the WandaVision story, and Marvel is likely now wanting to bring Catherine Hahn back in a much bigger way. She's the villain behind making Wanda feel like she couldn't live without her fake children and life in Westview. However, now that the MCU has also turned her into an obsessive psychopath, Wanda's psycho spell can once again be linked back to Agatha. Agatha sounds like quite the troublemaker. Another big reason for the Agatha Marvel series being pushed back has everything to do with the number of releases that we've been seeing over the past couple of years, which has undoubtedly led Marvel Studios wanting to take a big step back. Yeah, but they don't, what you have to mention, this is, the schedule that they put together was not accidental. This was Kevin Feige, with the permission of Bob Chapek and the permission of the board, producing however many shows they wanted to produce. There was a big push by Bob Chapek to produce more and more and more content, which wasn't crazy or stupid or evil. The idea was, we don't have enough people spending enough time on Disney Plus. We want more watched minutes, because that's really how you're judging whether or not a streaming show is successful. Are people actually watching it? That's Parrot Analytics. That's how they make that determination and how they can ascribe value to what it is that they're doing. So the thought was, we don't have enough content. That's why people aren't spending enough time on Disney Plus. Even though people were relatively satisfied with what was there, as was launched by Iger and then continued by Chapek. But Chapek wanted more watch hours, so they pushed and pushed and pushed out more production. So it's not like, all of a sudden they turned around and they realized, hey, maybe there's too much content. It's like, yeah, but they created a schedule, so some of this you could anticipate because you know what you're producing. A staggered 7 movies and 8 shows have been released since 2021. This has led to a drop in quality that has been felt by studio and fans alike. Do they even know what quality is though anymore? How do they even evaluate this quality? They said they're going to have a quality control team somehow standing on top of Kevin Feige's work to be able to determine, is the quality really up to snuff with Marvel? This is Kevin Feige's department. Aren't they doing some quality control already? You would think that someone somewhere is doing quality control. Or do they just decide they're going to do a project, give it to the most woke director they can find, and just say, hey, do what you will with it? I don't know. I haven't heard how this quality control board is supposed to be constituted and what their authority is going to be and who's reporting to it. If they do less content, producing less of it, it should theoretically be better, but not if all the ingredients are going to be bad ingredients. Granted, 2023 is still going to bring Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels to theaters as well, But those might be the bigger stories that are needed to tie into this new multiverse saga more than other properties. You know, they can do as much multiverse and having multiple versions of the characters they want to, as they're going to find out, and they're starting to find out, that affects the continuity. It screws up the storytelling, if they were even concerned about storytelling at all. At the very least, what they should be concerned with is not having conflicts in continuity. Have at least that discipline, because then you'll have some value come out of that discipline, even though that's hard to do. Hopefully they're still trying to at least do that. The shows slated for next year were Agatha Coven of Chaos, Daredevil Born Again, Secret Invasion, Echo, Loki Season 2, Ironheart, and X-Men 97, making for what would have been another huge Marvel release slate. Everything is arguably important to the grand story happening, except for X-Men 97. And now we've heard, you know, it's been pretty common now, Echo from Marvel is going to be delayed. For how long? I mean, whatever. Couple of years, maybe it gets canceled. Until they release it, you don't know. Because this Agatha Coven of Chaos was supposed to start filming in October of this year. And now it's not filming for a couple of years. That's very serious. I mean, how do you say that's a delay? Tell me what you think in the comments below. How do you call that a delay? They may decide to do it after all, but that's a cancellation. They had to cancel all of their arrangements to start filming the show, which, of course, as I said earlier, costs money. While it might be a bummer that Agatha is being pushed back in favor of other Marvel releases, no, she's not being pushed back in favor of other Marvel releases. This is too generous to Marvel. It's not like, well, you know what we're going to do? Instead of Agatha, we're going to do another one. They didn't say they're doing another one instead of Agatha. They said, we have to delay this for at least a couple of years. Not we're going to do one instead of another. It could, though, end up being the best move possible. Maybe now the visual effects workers will not be overworked and will provide us with some great magic battles. We want to see Wanda vs. Agatha again. Well, to be honest with you, I've never seen Wanda vs. Agatha. There's no keeping up with all the Marvel content. I don't know. Maybe this is going to make them start making better stuff. So let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think Marvel is going to have more of these, quote, delays? Do they have any cancellations, by the way? For all of the, quote, delays they have, are they going to admit to actually canceling anything? Let me know if you think they will in the comments below, or if you think they won't. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.